Jay,
Hi
can you
Claire,
hear
how you
me?
doing? I can.
Yeah, I think your audio might be a bit low.
Ah,
Maybe you want to do something about it.
well, hang on. Are we live?
Yeah.
How does that seem?
Okay. Okay. I think that's fine. I suppose
I can
I can
see
hear
Claire.
you. That's
I'm
the
on,
main thing.
yeah, I'm on my iMac. You can't control the level of what comes in. You can just sit closer
Hmm.
to my. But no doubt, as we talk and you annoy me, my voice will get raised anyway, which will mean an increase in volume. So that should probably take a minute.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah,
And
yeah,
and probably somebody will come along and complain about the sound if it's not good enough.
yeah. So what you been doing? What you been up to?
I've been quite busy. I was at Speaker's Corner yesterday. I've been, yeah, yeah, new ideas, new discussions in theology and philosophy.
Great. How,
I
how
am
is
hopeful.
how is Speakers Corners? It still got that. I know a few months ago it had a kind of violent vibe to it. It was starting to get a bit heavy, wasn't it?
Well, I'm not a regular, so I mean, every now and then, the police are called, but they're just there. There's so much police presence there, that they're obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was certainly peaceful when I was there. But it's only when Hatun Tash comes along that
Hmm.
some something goes that something happens, because these Christians, they haven't got arguments, so all they can do is provoke Muslims into attacking them and say Muslims are violent. So she tends to come along and poke
So
holes in the Quran. And
it's only taken you 2 minutes to start blaming Christians. Just letting you know.
well, you asked me what was going on, and
Oh
you,
no.
you were saying
I
was getting violent. What happened? What was getting? Who? What did you hear about it getting
No, I mean,
violent?
I saw some live footage of these really angry Muslims getting violent with these old men Christians, like looked sort of like bullying, you know. Um, and that was maybe a few months ago in winter before Christmas, maybe.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it, but obviously people do get heated and do shout. So,
Mm.
anybody can be caught looking bad. But on the whole, I'd say it's a peaceful place. I mean, I really kind of fear for my safety when I go there,
No,
and most of the time people are quite friendly, I would say.
yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're not a threat, or if you're quite of a good nature, then that's probably more important than anything. I mean, if you go there wanting or trying looking to cause trouble, or even going to a party, you could probably find it. So if you are of a decent nature, which I think you are, then you're not going to get any bother. So that's good. So did you hear any good speakers?
Yeah, I was talking to this young Somalian. He was actually very good for at what he's doing, because some are a bit shouty. I saw what's her name, Posey Parker, Kelly Ann, or something. Do you know that woman who goes on who says she's been victimized by the transgender women?
Yeah, Posey. Yeah, rings a bell.
Posey
Yeah,
Parker. So she
yeah.
was there to do her, thing, and then the Zionists were also there, and the Ukrainians were also there.
Wow.
Um, um, but with the celebrity ones, they just come, go there, do their thing, and then they they leave, and don't really engage with anyone else.
No, no. No. Yeah.
But
How?
yeah, it's mostly Muslims. But
Yeah.
then, I guess that's what's on people's minds. I mean, I'm old enough to remember a time when it was capitalists and communists. But obviously, people have different concerns now.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous that in this country we've got like Muslims at speakers' corner arguing, probably amongst themselves as well. It's just a sign of the times, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I got there early-ish, and there were already all these Christians, and they were kind of odd Christians, like these. There was this black man with an Israeli flag claiming to be Christian, and then a black woman saying that Jesus was black. And I remember, confronting. Well, I didn't confront her. I asked a few questions, and then after a while, she sort of pretended to greet someone. So you think, oh, so somebody's behind me, and I looked behind, and there was nobody there. She was pretending to talk to no one,
Good God.
just because, I was saying, well, what makes you think Jesus is black? Because she was saying God is black, and I thought, well, you're kind of taking the mickey, aren't you? But yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting to see how people kind of avoid the question, and, or come after you. Some of them do,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what I would have said to her, oh, okay, Jesus was black, so what? Like, what's your point? It
Well,
didn't
yeah, I
change.
was asking questions like that. But a lot of these people are mad anyway. So, I guess in a way there's not much point. And she was, in this mobility scooter, but smoking fags, right? You
Yeah.
know, um, yeah, and yeah, there were a whole bunch of crazy looking people,
Mm.
but I still managed to enjoy myself, I guess.
No, that's good. Are you following Trump at all? What he's up to?
Well, I kind of get it at one remove, really. Like, oh,
Mm.
have you heard this or that? And it's always at second hand. But why not? Because there's just so much noise, or in the sense of people reacting or overreacting, that you kind of want things to settle down before you,
Hmm.
bother reading about stuff.
Hmm.
So
No, I
what's the
agree.
latest about Trump?
Well, exactly. I'm the same as you. You get to the point where it's just noise, and the um the noise tends to be a bit more than what he's doing. I do know in the past couple of weeks, he said some things which are completely not true. Um, I think to do with Zelensky, um, and I don't know the specifics, and I haven't really been following it, but I think he said Zelensky started the war, which it's a hard. He's a dictator. He's not having elections, but those things are true. I mean, from a different perspective, but um, apparently he's sidling up to Putin. But
Trump
yeah, but
or
I think
Zelensky?
Trump to Putin. But I think,
Do you support the Ukraine war?
what do you mean? Do I support it? Do you mean support?
Do you want it to continue?
No, no, I don't. I think what Trump's doing is good. I think he
Oh,
wants to
okay, okay.
stop the war. Like it yeah. I mean, I don't lose sleep over it, but what the left and the centrists don't want Trump stopping the war. They want it to continue. I've spoken to friends up here, and they say that one person said more sanctions against Russia, but they want the war to continue. I mean, I don't understand their logic, apart from that if Trump does stop the war, he may get a Nobel Peace Prize, and that would just be hell for the left, for the liberals and whatnot. So um, their motivation is always themselves. But I do think that in order to work with Putin and get him to agree, you have to side up to him. You have to pay homage to him and feed his ego. And I think Trump knows that. And the West see it as, oh, it's like sidling up to Hitler. You know, he's a tyrant, he's a fascist, he's a megalomaniac. Putin. The West shouldn't be doing that. But what's the alternative? And I do believe Trump knows what he's doing in terms of negotiating. So he's got Putin on side, and I think Ukraine is just going to have to follow it because he's threatening to pull money out, and then Europe haven't got the money or the clout to back it up what America's been putting in, and he's going to pull American money out. So I think he's doing good, and I think he's in a good position, but we just need to see it out. In Israel and Gaza and the whole thing, I think he's talking about turning Gaza into like a property development, like vacation place type thing, which didn't go down well with a lot of the Muslims. And I think he suggested that Egypt and not Syria, Jordan, maybe two bordering countries to Palestine, Muslim. He's saying that they should take in all of the Palestinians, and he's on about him and Israelis taking over Palestine. So that obviously hasn't gone down well. But yeah, we just got to wait and see what happens and play it and let it play out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling with British politics at the moment, meaning it's just obviously watching Labour and Starmer and the women, and I just kind of watch it. It's I find it very harrowing, so I switch it off. He's what can I say? He's useless. Like as a speaker, his ideas, what he stands for, he's horrible. I don't mind left-wing politicians like who are genuine like left-wing, but this guy's just nothing. He's like a weak conservative, weak Labour, and I hope he gets kicked out. And the only thing that can happen would be reform, and I don't know what Farage will do or how he'll do anything if he does become the next prime minister. But that's surely something that you think's a good thing, don't you?
Well, I hope that the one-party state will be the future, because if you don't become a one-party state, you're not really understanding the problem, and you're not really dealing with the situation. But we'll just have to see. So in a way, talking about elections is a kind of showing you don't really understand the problem. But I guess the direction would have to come from America, and whether Trump cares enough to secure his legacy.
Yeah, well,
because what's the point of doing all that, and then he goes, and then everything just goes back to what it was. Right.
Yeah. I mean, Farage's party is called Reform. So what is he going to reform? First past the post, so we get like a more electoral representation. Is that what he's on about reforming? Or is he on about reforming, like what specifically?
He won't be answering any questions like that, will he? They want to keep it vague on purpose, because they don't want to be, they don't want to give hostages to fortune. It's like, whatever, and the fact that he's no longer, UKIP, because, Farage, is sort of saying, I'm above party, doesn't, UKIP have crashed and burned because I've left it, because there's nobody of, his stature capable of, attracting the voters.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what party he he joins. I mean, the idea is that if he's allowed to join the Conservative Party, then he'll become the leader of the Conservative Party, and then they will win the next election. And maybe Tory party. The Tory party is some of them are probably thinking, why don't we do that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what happens in the Tory party. Apparently, they're going to give what's her name, Badenoch, another month or something, and she'll be gone. It's not happening. But it might be that the only way
who will take over?
Well, exactly. That's to be seen. I think it's that Jenner. What's his name?
Robert Jenrick.
Yeah. Who is further right than anybody else there. So, but it might get to the point where the only way Farage can become Prime Minister is by joining the Conservative Party, which will weaken his position immensely. And also, he hates what they're doing.
Why do you think it would weaken his position?
Because he's a lot more right-wing than the Conservative Party. And the Conservative Party will struggle. They'll try and contain him and pull him to the centre. Whereas if he had a free reign, he would possibly ban all immigration apart from special cases of like excellent people coming in. But the Conservative Party would be terrified to do that. So, but if it looks politically and socially like reform, the public kind of take them, or as well, have you considered this? If Trump falls apart, the whole thing that he's doing, and he gets kicked out early, or he does stuff that's illegal, or he gets assassinated, I think that's going to really, really hinder. It'll put Starmer and the EU and Zelensky and them lot. They'll be like flying high. I do think the success of Farage depends upon Trump staying in power and doing well, to be honest, because they're all in it together. They're all holding hands. So if Trump doesn't work out, we're just back to square one. So I do think Trump needs to possibly calm down a bit and actually start bringing some like proper results in and good results, and and hopefully he will. I mean, it's still early days, to be honest, so we'll see. We will see.
Mm-hmm.
So have you been doing a lot of stuff on X as opposed to YouTube?
Oh yeah. Haven't you noticed? I'm mostly talking to people on it.
Well, if I look for stuff, I tend to be on YouTube. I find it's a lot more. Maybe I'm just used to it, or maybe I'm old-fashioned. Because the problem with X, and I could be wrong here, is if you're listening to a stream, you can't turn it down. You have to, there's no volume on it, is there?
No.
And you have to leave, and I don't necessarily want to leave. So you leave, and if you're a speaker, you have to come back on and go through all of that.
What you could do is you can listen anonymously, right?
I don't like doing that. Something which brings me to what happened last night with Khalid. Like to listen anonymously is like don't know, that it's like using a different name so people don't know you and stuff. It's a bit.
Well, sometimes you just don't want to be to be noticed. Or sometimes you do, but at least you have the option, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel too bad about it.
No, I don't. But I understand.
Because sometimes it's annoying to be invited, and it's like, oh, I have nothing to say, but it'd be rude to refuse. So you accept, and then I don't know. Sometimes it's just easier to listen anonymously, and also. If you listen anonymously, they can't stop you from listening, because if you listen using your name, they can remove you and then you can't listen anymore.
Yeah, no, it seems harder to operate, but that could just because I've done so much listening on YouTube. I find it you know, and I don't hold streams, and I don't really participate much on stuff. But yeah, but so did you want to talk about last night? Because that's what you.
Yeah. Because obviously, you didn't stay for long when you arrived,
A minute.
and yeah, um, yeah, only a minute, as you said. So, would you like to discuss your, how, the whole thing that
Well, yeah, like
pissed you
I,
off?
yeah, I get on pretty good with Khalid. He does have an agenda, and I've started pointing that out to him because it gets boring when he tries to convert me or tells me that Muslim is the thing. You know, the answer to all my problems is Islam and all. It's like going into
Yeah, it's
DFS.
boring for us to listen to it as well.
Oh, yeah, I know what he likes. I know what he thinks, and he's trying to. I don't know. It's like sell me a second-hand car or something. And
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I mean, he does that to me too, right? He does that to me too. He does that to everyone. But
yeah,
but the thing is, I mean, what sort of annoys me is that he doesn't really care what you have to say. It's like, boom, you're here, introduce yourself, and then and then you might say something interesting, but he's not interested in listening to it. It's like, okay, yeah, and then he goes on to the next thing, right? And it's like,
yeah, yeah. I
and
think
then bounce, and I talk, you respond, and I talk, and then at the end you have final words. The end, and I find that format, really annoying. I mean, I find myself sort of quite angry towards the end. You know, it's like,
yeah,
okay, I managed to say what I wanted to say, but I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to do it because I noticed that he asked you a question and then he interrupted you twice when you were trying to answer.
yeah, because he doesn't want the answer, and um he he doesn't like it if you don't have an answer that agrees with him or you question him. He doesn't seem to,
He's
you
not
know.
interested in your answers. It's like cram, cram, cram. Let's go on to the next thing. Who cares what the thing is, you could be anyone. So I talk to him and say, oh, the British people, they never smile. It's like, I've heard it 1,000 times before. I could be anybody. I might as well not be here, right? Because you're
Yeah,
saying
I
the
know.
same thing as if I hadn't heard it a thousand million times before. Why don't you just calibrate the conversation to me and respect me as an individual, right?
Mhm.
Instead of, this splurge of things that is for everybody.
No, I agree. I felt that, you know, you're on there to. I felt last night it was pretty dirty what he did. Like, like he sent me a link that didn't even play, but he played the link to me at 5 to 7, 5 minutes before we went live, and the link I thought was really good, and in general, in terms of like interesting, um, challenging, it would be good to practice it in real life, and the link was Joe Rogan saying, um, you can have a good life, but you need to grab it, and he said like do good things tomorrow. Like, think of three good things you like to do and do them. It's simple. And, as opposed to not doing anything and complaining. And every day can be a good day if you fill it up with good things and just do it. And I thought that's really interesting that, like, it's such a simple, almost childish uh, method. But I did that today. I sent you. I mean, for example, I was in the sea at 7 o'clock on my own. Did some music stuff. Did a tiny bit of work, half hour. Went out on a little bike ride. That's when I sent you the picture. I went to the pool later and just practiced some swimming strokes. I cleaned the kitchen, and um, obviously speaking to you now. Like it's all
Mhm.
good stuff, and I feel good, and it's like, and I had a Reiki session yesterday as well, like which I've been started to. It's something that I thought was just nonsense, but there's definitely something in it. But
Is that foot massage?
it is. It's part of it, like without just being a foot massage. It's crystals, and she puts them on your head, and it's only £10 for as long as you want. Sometimes I can stay there 2 hours. I
Mhm.
mean, yesterday
And
was
fall asleep.
kind of, yeah, but
Mhm.
every day afterwards, like you're kind of quite clear and motivated, and I got out of bed this morning. And you don't want to get into the sea. It's not exactly attractive this time of year, and I was okay with just getting
No.
up and getting on with stuff. But anyway, getting back to last night. So I thought, oh well, that's pretty good. Like it doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what politics you are. It's just like, right, 3 things you'd like to do tomorrow. So for you, that could be go to a museum. It could be do a stream on your favorite topic, or it could be write a new idea for a series of streams, and get some whatever, something that's creative, something that's enhances, yes, something that can be good for others, whatever. And I thought that okay, well that's enough. I could talk about that on my own for an hour. And then suddenly he brought on a guest which he hadn't told me, and this guest was talking for about 3 or 4 minutes beforehand, and the guest clearly hadn't done many, if any, streams before. He was arguing with Khalid, whatever his name is, Khalid, about whether to be known as a Jew or not, or should he say his disease, and it was just, oh whatever, just get on with the stream. And then the stream started, and Khalid said that, like, that this stream, the purpose of it is to help white people or white men. And I'm thinking, is it? Like, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not here for that. And that's why I listened. I said, hang on, did you just say that this is that? And my intuition was just to get the hell out of there. And I got off and I sent him a message. I WhatsApped him and said, like, I said, sorry, this is just not my bag. I don't respect what you're doing, what you are, and the whole nature of it. Like, it's very hard for me to put into words specifically what I didn't like about it.
Well, I mean, I imagine that, you thought you were going to be the only guest, and then he just sort of, oh, there's somebody here, let's, cram it all in, it's sort of like, do separate streams, or respect the individuality of the guest, right?
That did seem flippant, like how he done that, but that wasn't particularly a problem. But I knew that this guy would be trouble, and I felt like Khalid had, like, brought it all together, the Jew, the Muslim, and the Christian, in order
Yeah,
to,
cram it all in. Let's cram it
yeah,
all in.
and
You
then
know.
with Khalid telling me the problems of white men and what white men should do. And I mean, there's something about that like, having Khalid, like, advising me or white men. It's like, who is he? And to be honest, I'm quite tired of all of this, like, identity stuff. I've been tired of it for a long time. Like, whether
Yeah, I'm
and
sure everybody's tired of it. That's why, nobody's happy, right? They're not happy with their identity, and they don't know what else to have other than the one that
I've
they
never
don't like.
played. Yeah, I've never played the white man card. I've never, like, I'm pretty big on culture and the volume of people in the country, and how different people change. But I didn't like a lot of the Eastern Europeans in London when that came with with Tony Blair, like in what happened with a lot of the jobs, the finance, British work, and he's going on about like white men, and I've said to you a few times that like in a way, to be successful in this country, you have to be the loudest minority who claims to be victimized the most. So you've got women, you've got Muslims, you've got Jews, you've got trannies, you've got gays, you've got like every type of person, every type of minority shouting, we've been done by the worst, and we want this.
There's this competition for victimhood.
Yeah. And then I feel that, yes, I am a white man, but to suddenly join the ranks of victimhoodness and go on and...
Well, it doesn't work anyway. If you said you were the victim, you're not going to get respect from your women, right? They'll just despise you even more if you claim to be a victim.
Well, I don't.
As a white man, I mean.
Yeah, I don't feel a victim. I believe it's between me and the gods. Like, whether I'm white or not, it's like we all have an individual responsibility to ourselves and hopefully our families and friends after that. But if we're no good ourselves, it's pretty hard to live in the world. And so we need to be strong and on form and, doing stuff. And that, it doesn't, irrelevant. And that goes for, like, whether you're Indian or Sikh or whether you're, like, you or your mum or whoever. It doesn't matter where, and the whole thing. So he almost changed the idea of the stream and now into like this white nationalist, like him. I mean, the guy who goes to Africa to get a second wife because his first one doesn't like him and videos himself. I mean, it looks terrible, all of it. It's horrendous. And there he is with the solution I mean, sort your own life out first. It's and I was a bit, my intuition was to get the hell out of there. And I did, as opposed to saying, like having an argument or whatever. I just got off message. And
it would have been more fun if you'd stayed and had an argument, obviously, for the viewer. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand because it's sort of like, I mean, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but, sometimes you go and meet somebody and you think, oh, I'm going to, meet this person and be on my own with him or her. And then some extra person is there. Not that you, particularly hate the extra person, but it's not what you were expecting. And you're, maybe not happy with, it being sprung on you like that, right?
Yeah, but also it's not just like everybody has the same problems in the world now, and it's not like there's a common denominator of problems to do with financial imbalance and like everybody, the middle class are getting hit all over because they've never been hit before. And it's their turn now with mortgages, really, and the money, the cost of living, money leaving the pockets of genuine families who've done the right thing.
Yeah, they can't make ends meet. There are all kinds of problems that are not being addressed or even acknowledged. And okay, I mean, my problem with Khaled is that he's boring and he doesn't listen, but he's just going through the motions, right?
I do think he does, and recently, like, it is a bit of a repetition of things, and yeah, I mean, I don't have.
And he doesn't listen. He doesn't, it's like you could be anyone, and he'll say the same thing. And it's like, yeah, I could be a dummy, or skeleton or whatever, and he'll say the same thing, So what's the point? What's the point of even being there?
Yeah,
that's how I feel. It's like well, at least respond to my point. But no, it's not even worth arguing. I'm not even going to bother arguing with this stupid thing that you want to go on about. I'm not even, it's like, no, I want to talk about, I've got a list of things and I'm going to go through them one by one by one by one until I get to the end. And then I'll ask you to say your last words and then it's goodbye. And that's it.
Yeah, I do think he does suffer.
We're all like that.
I said this on a stream. I do think he suffers from spiritual narcissism, which is he thinks he's made it. He thinks he's there, and other people haven't. So he's enlightened and he's speaking. He has the words of.
He's
God
got two wives.
Yeah.
Like, and the people I'm talking down to, they don't even have a girlfriend. And I can just, patronize the fuck out of them. And that's what it's about, right? Patronize, repeat.
There is, yeah, I do get that. And I think last night it was when it suddenly threw in that this what the stream's about helping white men, I think. And it's just like, I haven't come on this stream in a fucking ambulance or what, asking for his help or thinking that A, do white men need help, and B, am I going to give them it? C, do I have the right answer for them? I mean, I've got enough problems.
Yeah, just become Muslim. Yeah, everything will be solved. It's like, I mean, people need to be able to imagine themselves being Muslim, and more, they need to imagine themselves being happy becoming Muslims. They can't do that, right?
Well,
but no, it's just the same old crap. Oh, just be Muslim and everything will be fine, and you'll be like me and have two wives.
Yeah, that's it. That's his.
Yeah, no. And the other thing is that he doesn't want to talk politics, so that's why everything is just platitudinous claptrap, right? Because really, to get to the position where we're reasonably happy with life and government, you have to do a bit of politics. But he's not interested in talking about politics. Who wants to talk about politics, right? It's too contentious. So, well,
yeah. That's true. I don't think he does talk about.
No, he makes a point of not talking about it. It's just, everything we've got.
Well, oddly enough, the last time he was on, he started talking about far right white nationalists like Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, and I said, whoa, and I pulled him up and I said, like, where do you get it that Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage are far right white nationalists?
Well, I guess, I mean, to be fair, that's how they're labeled. That's how they've been labeled. So that's what they are. Because the media controls how we talk about things. Even if we don't agree, we end up adopting their names.
No, but it suited his narrative to have the opposition like that. So, the term now that the main Starmer uses is, it's far right. So those people who were sending Facebook things out about the Southend murders, they were all far right. And so it suited his narrative to say, you've got these people like Farage and Robinson who are white nationalists far right. And I asked him to explain himself and he couldn't. But that suited his narrative. But yeah, no, I do agree with the things that you say with him. But maybe he needs to learn from it. I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to. But I don't think I'll.
What time? It's just 1 hour. And then he's got to do, his list of things he wants to say. Fuck what you want to say. It's like, yeah, okay. And then on it goes to, to the end, right? That's how he does things. And that is his way of showing service and duty and whatever. It's a tick list. It's just going through the motions, right? It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
You'll talk to in the same way with his lesson plan, and we have to just he can't have a normal conversation. You have to introduce yourself. Why the fuck do we have to introduce ourselves?
Yeah,
You're Christian, right? It's like, who cares? Who cares what the fuck you are unless you have something interesting to say? And if you haven't got anything interesting to say, well, why even bother talking? And if you do say something interesting um, or controversial, it'll be, yeah, okay. I want to talk about this other thing now.
no, it's a good point.
Always shallow, superficial, boring, and stale.
Yeah, I mean, he had Stephen on, he had me on, he had you on, and there's that other guy, Mike. Is it Mike? Yeah, and
Mike Malzahn.
yeah, and who's an atheist, I think.
Oh yeah, he calls himself an Islamophobe. That
right.
one, the Floridian who's an alcoholic.
Oh right. I didn't know that. Have you heard from Stephen recently? He's gone quiet, hasn't he, again?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with him. So I thought I heard him. Someone say he's in Lisbon or something, but maybe I heard wrong. I got that mixed up with people.
Yeah, he goes quiet for a while and comes back. So, so you're still doing a lot of daily afternoon streams with Vincent, and you seem to be enjoying them.
Well, he's got this woman going on, okay, maybe I'm just another one of those crazy people who spend too much time online, but I think a lot of people just want to say their thing over and over and over again, and they don't care to interact with other people who question their views, or they just dismiss it like, oh, what you said doesn't matter, never mind, let me just say whatever it is, because I can't be bothered to argue with you. There are lots of people like that, and I think obviously a lot of us have problems understanding what people are trying to say to us. Or problems expressing ourselves. It's a failure of communication and comprehension, I guess.
Yeah.
Or taking the whole thing seriously. It's like, I'm just here to produce content and to make sure that you're listening to me, that kind of thing. And even though I have nothing interesting to say, I just want you to, make you listen to me. Who cares about a genuine conversation? I haven't got time for your stupid crap,
Mm-hmm. I think for some people it's the highlight of their week or year if they actually get on YouTube to speak or Twitter. I think for other people it's like myself, it's water off a duck's back. But I think for some people, they will build it up and they'll become maybe Khalid like that, where, to him, it's a big thing. It's like, I mean, Vincent seems to be getting a lot more confident and comfortable with doing stuff. He's not spurging out hardly. He used to a lot.
He's very niche, right? He's quite patient with people, and he will listen to people like, why are you wasting time with that crazy mad person? And he's got he's polite to them and he's patient to them, and he's very niche. It's like he's part of the I have an idea. I have a Jewish conspiracy theory thing, and that's very, very popular. You can make money out of it on X, really. There's lots of big spaces dedicated to complaining about Jews. So in a way, I mean, I'm saying basically it's a kind of new religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the unofficial new religion, I would say. Blaming Jews for everything.
No, but I've said that I mean, there's probably some validity in it, but it does become almost fashionable, and as you say, a new religion, and it's the end. If you, I mean, religion's not about that. Religion's not about blame in a way, but I hear you, and that it becomes almost subconsciously um, the world to them, and then that's once they go down that route, they don't tend to come out.
Well, yes, because religion is about beliefs, right? So
Yeah,
it's and correct beliefs are very important. So let's say anti-Semitism is a religion, really. I mean, I'm saying things can become religion without us realizing it has become religion, like liberalism or democracy and feminism and the welfare state. All these things that are not.
yeah, the NHS.
Yeah, they
Remember that?
become sacred cows, right? So you can't really criticize these things because on the one hand people don't acknowledge they have become religion, but on the other hand in practice it has. So people are very neurotic and confused about that, and once you go there people start calling you names. I mean, I totally get that, but anyway, if supposing you do blame Jews, then it's your belief system, like they are to blame for this, they are to blame for that, and whatever. But then you might decide you want to blame somebody else, like feminists or Muslims or whatever it is you want to blame, and people just need to understand which group they're in.
Yeah,
And most people don't even really understand that anti-Semitism is already a religion. Well, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. And the thing
well, yeah, you're
is,
right.
yeah, and I think is a lot of people don't understand their own religion, so they don't even know what they're supposed to believe, and then they become very easy to manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's sort of like we're all, team colors, team colors. Yours is orange, mine is red, purple or whatever, and it's like that. That it is. That's all it is. So the brand of Jesus is meant to gather kind of white people, white middle class, conservative people, and the brand of something else, LGBT, the rainbow flag is for liberals, and all these symbols and associations. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't even know what they're supposed to believe. So it makes them very easy to manipulate. And I would say even Jews and Muslims, but in particular Christians, don't really understand their own religion.
Mm-hmm.
But they just sort of see it as, something sentimentally theirs, belonging to their ancestors, which they have to defend, and which may in fact be part of the problem, like liberalism.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. When you talk about the purpose of religion, that made me think, what is the purpose of religion?
It's
And
to keep the group together. That's all it is. If you think about it, like everybody has this idea, like, oh, if only things were run in my way and things would be better. It's like, yeah, okay, let's see what happens when things are run your way. Because at the end of the day, there are only 5 world religions, right? The really big ones that whose names we know. There are only 5 of them.
but isn't one of the side effects or the benefits of religion is that it does keep a group together? I don't think it's the purpose.
Well, the thing is, it's like, obviously you want to keep the group together for so you can organize to do stuff, usually wage war, right? And then you become a vast empire, and then you can say Christians rule the world or whatever.
You can, yeah, you could, if you're biased, you could say that, but I'm not biased.
No, I mean, it's just a fact of life that, all these religions that you have heard of, have some view on fighting wars and making laws.
But what about the idea of man or woman on his or her own without religion? I think that's probably what it comes down to, where man on his own is capable of anything, really. Lots of good, lots of bad, lots of indifference. But I think the purpose of religion is to protect the man from himself by following principles and rules and laws, whatever, and being part of a group that has a cohesive principle of behavior and laws as well. But but I do think the purpose of religion is to help man and then the group, like be in a better space. It's quite interesting in the Lord's Prayer, which I'm sure you hate, but it says, "Please lead us not into temptation," and that's because He knows that as humans, when we're tempted, eventually, I was telling a girl today at the gym, she was off going to Las Vegas for 3 days, and she said it's going to be 3 days of like debauchery. And I was telling her I once went for about 7 or 8 days, and for the first 3 or 4 days, I was really, really like no drinking, no women, no gambling, and I was really behaving myself. Well, by day 4, I'd gone. I mean, all resistance had left me, and it was carnage the last 3.5 days. And eventually, when tempted, and that's where an example of where religion comes in, where it protects the individual from himself. And say for example, if you were going to have an unruly affair with someone, if you had strong religious beliefs, you wouldn't carry out that affair. Or if you wanted to rob a bank, and then
so that's why the no hide laws are so important.
Yeah.
But obviously a lot of people would be okay with the 5 that we know about, but idolatry and blasphemy is sort of maybe my religion is a bit idolatrous because I worship Jesus or Krishna or whoever. So this is really the most important thing. I know a lot of people don't care about idolatry, and Jews and Muslims have given up, it seems, talking about idolatry when they talk to Christians, and Christians literally don't care that it's idolatry. But I'm saying the only problem about idolatry is it means that you don't have a rule book and you're not following it. And at the end of the day, the people who have a rule book, even if they don't follow it properly, have a stronger sense of identity, i.e. Jews and Muslims, than people who just make up the rules as they go along. And this is just a mechanical problem. I'm not even casting judgment on anyone. But obviously, if any group comes into being for any purpose, it would have a purpose, right? So it's like, well, obviously we want to remain in existence, because we don't want to become extinct. So we have to have children and parent them properly as married parents. And that's why, all the 5 world religions, support marriage and family values in some way. But you were saying, Jay, earlier that, okay, what if you don't fancy doing any of that? And it's like, fine, you don't have to do it. Nobody's going to force you into marriage. But as long as the laws support other people who do it and privilege these people and treat them better than those who don't.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's good. I think they do that in Hungary, don't they? If you have children, like you get extra tax breaks and all kinds of stuff. No, I think you get £15,000 for another child or something. Past two children, I think, something like that in Hungary.
Oh, I mean, you don't really even have to do that. You just have to forbid unmarried parenthood and treat them as unmarried parents and treat them as sex offenders, and then sooner or later it will be seen as a privilege again, and then people will be grateful that somebody even wants to marry them, right? You change the law and you change the perception of something. You make it like, wow, I want to get married because I want to have children, because all the stuff that our ancestors didn't think anything of, because the presumption that, there's something wrong with you if you don't want to get married and nobody wants to marry you.
No, I agree. And
if you're gay, then don't get married. Nobody's forcing you to, but accept a lower status. as a non-parent. I mean, that's all. That's the bargain of secular Quranism, really. I'm not saying you can't be gay. I'm not saying it's just you have to accept, a slightly lower status. I'm not saying that bachelors and spinsters have nothing to contribute to society, but since you're not doing the married parenting thing, yeah, I mean, that's how things used to be. I mean, you're either interested in rearing the next generation or you're not. And if you're not interested in rearing the next generation, then don't be surprised if business organizations complain to the government and say, oh, but we haven't got the staff to do these things. Can we import these people who are prepared to work into our country?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So, anyway, Claire, I'm going to disappear. We've chatted for an hour, which makes up for the hour that I didn't do last night to the streaming gods. So,
okay. I hope you've got it off your chest.
Well, I was fine with it. There's no bad blood or no anger. Khalid messaged me afterwards and asked me if I wanted to chat about it and what happened and stuff like that. But I don't. If he can't see it, I mean, trying to point stuff out is just waste of time, really. But I do think I don't know. I don't think I'll reappear on his stream, which I'm sure won't be the end of the world for him. But it was weird. That was a weird night last night. So, but we've had a few of them in our time, haven't we? We've had a few.
Well, we've managed to get over those bumps in, our relationships, right? Our online relationships.
Yeah. No.
Eventually, we'll find ourselves bumping into each other again and having to speak to each other again, and I think what's nice about these things, or nasty, is that we say what we mean, in a way that we would if we were in the same room, maybe.
No, yeah, I agree. And that's so. Are you going to get back on? Is Vincent still streaming with this? Is she Chinese, Asian woman?
I don't know. I really don't know. She does sound, in a way, a little naive, but that's what I think. But I think she comes under the category of being very sincere and wanting to trust Jews and not quite trusting Muslims because she was brought up Christian. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the impression I get.
Oh.
And obviously there's a lot of Islamophobia amongst Jews, so and I think as I was saying, there's a lot of snobbery. It's sort of like oh, immigrants, Muslims, fresh off the boat, don't like the look of them. Oh, Jews, we're used to Jews. They've been living with us for centuries. They're all right. This kind of typical way of,
No, you're right. Good point. So, anyway, Claire, thank you very much. Have a good evening, and I look forward to. How often do you stream on YouTube? Not very often. I've just had a look at your videos.
Not very often, but I mean, obviously, I will. When it suits me. It's actually easier to find things on YouTube. Because it's more searchable and it's not just memory holding.
You want
a
limited amount of hours on StreamYard, I think, isn't it?
Well, I've got 40 hours now.
Oh, that's not so bad, is it? It's an hour a day. Do you use them up?
Well, I usually do X because X is, I think more interesting, educated, professional people, I would say.
All right. No, that's good then. Okay, then, Claire, have a good evening and we'll talk later.
All right. Same to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.